Welcome, everyone, to my show, the Health, Happiness, and Planet podcast. In today's episode, we will focus more on the planet. In case you're listening to this while driving, cooking, cleaning the house, commuting, walking, jogging, or anywhere else where you cannot take notes, no worries. I included a downloadable freebie where you will be able to find the key takeaways and action points. You can choose 1 to 2 points to implement and see if it brings value to our planet and to you. The link to the freebie can be found in the show notes. As a former head of corporate social responsibility at a large international organization, I observed several unsustainable mindsets that hindered progress towards a greener future. The first disempowering and unsustainable mindset that I frequently come across is I do not need to worry about the health of the planet. I just need to worry about my own health and the well-being of my family. When I was younger, this was also a little bit part of my mindset, but later I discovered that it is all connected. Taking care of the planet's well-being has a direct impact on our health and the health of our family members. When we are healthy, we are better equipped to pursue our dreams and passions, leading to a more fulfilling life, which will most likely make us a happier person. Maybe you already live in one of those cities which struggle with polluted air. Looking at the amount of pollution that is present in the air, you can see the percentage of inhabitants who suffer from health issues caused by dirty air. When the air is polluted, it can also contaminate water and soil, affecting our food system. This shows us how everything is interconnected. You will also have noticed that there is a significant percentage of people who get ill, and they spend a great part of their time and energy trying to get well. Just imagine the countless dreams, aspirations, projects, goals, experiences, and passions that could have been realized if these individuals had access to clean air, water, food in a vibrant and nourishing environment free from pollutants. Instead of living a life filled with joy and happiness, they often find themselves experiencing fear, sadness, and disappointment due to their illness. To achieve our passions and dreams, we must take steps to protect the environment in which we live in so that we can thrive. Think about a tree. If a tree is planted in a small pot, it can only grow to a limited size due to the constraints of its environment. However, if it gets planted in a larger pot or even in a garden with ample space, it can grow to its full potential. The same concept applies to us people. If we live in an environment that restricts our ability to be healthy and reach our full potential, we will never truly realize our capabilities in this lifetime. It is essential to prioritize the health and well-being of ourselves and the environment in which we live in to achieve success and fulfillment. And now it's time to look at the unsustainable mindset number 2, which I frequently hear. And it goes like this. I do not believe that the environmental threats are a real impact. I don't understand what the big fuss is all about. It is easy to hold this belief if you live in a relatively clean environment, far away from the polluted areas. Especially if we live in a smaller town without air pollution, we might not even see the need for change. However, we need to realize that we all live on the same planet, and what affects one part of the world will have ripple effects on the other parts of the world as well. These ripple effects can be seen in many ways, such as extreme weather changes, shorter or longer seasons, or even the presence of microplastics in our environment. Humans have produced so much plastic that it is now found as microplastics everywhere around the world. Plastic waste takes up to 500 years to decompose, and during that time, it breaks down into smaller particles called microplastics. Today, these microplastics have entered our food system. For example, if we eat fish, we are ingesting the microplastics that the fish consumed in the water. Therefore, it is essential to recognize that the environmental threats are real and have a direct impact on our lives, even if we do not see them in our immediate surroundings. If people are not informed about the things that harm our environment, it will be difficult to make any changes to their daily actions. Therefore, step 1 is build awareness. There are many sources of information available, but be aware that some of those sources may be sponsored by industries with a lot of money that will mislead the public. If you are looking for a fun way to increase your level of awareness, documentaries are a great resource. There are filmmakers who invest years of their lives in collecting data, speaking with researchers and scientists, and communicating their findings in an interesting way for the viewers. Their sole interest is not to sell a product or a service, but to give us all the basic awareness of what is happening and what is causing these problems today. Through these documentaries, you get teleported to different areas of the world and you are shown what is happening. Even if we do not live in a place where we see the immediate damages we are causing, we get the opportunity to see them through the lens of the documentary. In the show notes, I would like to recommend you a few documentaries to watch. These do not only shed light on important issues, but also offer potential solutions and actionable steps for us to take. My family and I decided to watch one documentary per week and create an action plan based on what we learned. Our goal is to change our old habits and create new ones and make a positive impact. Unsustainable mindset number 3. I am just one person. I do not have enough leverage to make a significant impact. I will let the influencers, government, and regulatory agencies take action. If they are not acting, then the problem cannot be that bad. They are the ones who have access to all the intelligence, so if they are not doing anything, then it's probably okay. I have seen that many people experience the so-called action paralysis when it comes to the environmental issues because they can be so overwhelming. And this happens to me as well. We hear about all these major problems such as climate change and plastic pollution, and we rely on regulatory agencies, government, or even the influencers to fix them. However, it's important to recognize that each of us can make a difference right now. You do not have to become an environmental activist or spend hours of your day trying to save the planet. All it takes is a few small changes to our daily habits that contribute to our individual carbon footprint. Think about it. Everything around us is constantly being upgraded and improved, from our phones and computers to our kitchen appliances and cars. But we rarely think about upgrading our daily habits to make them more sustainable. As of the recording of this podcast, there are approximately 8 billion people on the planet. If each of us committed to changing just 2 unsustainable habits, we could collectively make a more significant impact than any government or regulatory agency could in a short period. Let's consider a small community of 100,000 people and do the math. If every member of this community goes to a supermarket and puts their bananas and other fruits in separate plastic bags, then buys even more plastic bags to carry their groceries home, the amount of plastic waste generated can be substantial. Additionally, if they buy food that's wrapped in plastic, drink from plastic bottles and cups through a plastic straw, and buy plastic toys for their kids, the amount of plastic waste adds up very quickly. However, the good news is that we can adopt new sustainable habits to reduce plastic waste. If in this community of just 100,000 people, everyone would switch to reusable bags, didn't pack their fruits in plastic bags at the supermarket, didn't buy microwave food or water in plastic bottles, and opt for eco-friendly alternatives for plastic toys, all of these would add up to a significant amount of plastic that we can save on every given day. By changing their habits, the people in this community could avoid at least 5 plastic bags from the supermarket, 1 plastic food wrapper from the microwave, a plastic toy, 1 plastic water bottle, and 1 plastic cup during just one trip to the supermarket. For a community of 100,000 people, that would amount to at least 9 items per person, which multiplied by 100,000 people and 365 days a year equals to approximately 328 million plastic items. Sadly, 91% of all plastic is not being recycled, and half of it is produced for single use. Just making conscious changes in the way we do things can have a big impact. We all need to recognize the leverage we can have as a community, which is a collective superpower. If we all lead by example and encourage others to do the same, sustainable habits will gradually become contagious, and more people in our community will begin to adopt them. The positive ripple effects of our improved habits can counteract the negative ripple effects of the harmful habits that we have today. If every member of the community knows that we can all make a difference, then suddenly we have a whole community making a shift. The first step towards change must come from each one of us. Together, we can create a wave of positive change that will have a lasting impact on our environment and our communities. It all starts with each one of us committing to making the change we want to see. Unsustainable mindset number 4. I do not know any continuous improvement techniques. You may have the role of a son, a daughter, a parent, an employee, a business owner, an athlete, a driver, a spouse, and many others. Under normal circumstances, we all have a survival instinct, and therefore we also have the responsibility to protect this home we call planet Earth. We have the duty to do our best to leave the world in a better condition than we found it for the sake of the survival of our species. In year 2000, I began teaching courses on the continuous improvement mindset in the corporate world. I formed teams and departments focused on changing company culture to instill this mindset in all employees. The interesting thing was that these continuous improvement techniques were not only applied in the corporate world, but also carried over into people's personal lives, including my own. We realized that to be better parents, we need to invest more time with our children. As for survival for future generations, it is our implicit role to continuously improve our environment for them. The more I travel around the world, the more I realize how precious our planet is. We have a short time on this earth, and it is our duty to treat our home with respect for the sake of future generations. Now, my question to you is, in what areas of your life has there been a lot of improvement over the past 5 years? And in which areas have you seen less progress? I like to make a list of all the different roles that I have, and every 6 months evaluate the progress I have made in each of these roles. Then I create an action plan for the areas I may have neglected and follow the plan for the next 6 months, where I make a new assessment. Try it out for yourself, and don't forget to put some of the default roles on your piece of paper, like the one about being a protector of this planet. Unsustainable mindset number 5 covers the topic consumerism. Our creativity on how to be happier with less is often underdeveloped, as we tend to buy more and more, seeking short term happiness. To tackle this issue, we can adopt the 6R mindset. The first R stands for reduce. Simply put, the less we buy, the less waste we produce at the end of each product's life cycle. This is where the minimalistic mindset comes into play, and every time we make a purchase, we should ask ourselves if we really need this item and if there are other solutions that can help us avoid buying it. It's all about being super conscious and creative. The second R is for refuse. Do not accept items that are not sustainable. Refuse to buy foods, fruits, and vegetables that are packed in plastic bags. Say no when you are offered plastic straw or plastic cutlery, and so on. When we as consumers refuse to go with the flow, then companies will also have to change their practices to satisfy their customers and continue to do business. This also includes not buying products that are not fair trade, not local, regional, products that are linked to animal cruelty, products that were created in countries where workers are not treated fairly, and so forth. Refuse to work with or give money to companies that do not contribute to the well-being of the community and the planet. The third R is reuse. Find creative solutions to reuse items you already own. For example, reuse your water bottle so you don't have to buy new plastic bottles every single day. Buy Tupperware to pack your meals. Think of all the items that you can use repeatedly every day without having to buy new ones. The fourth R is repair. Instead of throwing something away and buying a new one, consider if it can be easily repaired. The idea is to extend the life cycle of each item we own. The shorter the life cycles, the more waste we will create. And the longer we can use an item, the less waste we will create. The fifth R stands for repurpose. Use your creativity to find ways to repurpose what you already have. This way, you can reduce the need to buy a new product when there is still a chance to use what already exists and repurpose it. There are many websites that offer ideas on how to repurpose old items into new things. For example, you can turn an old window frame into a picture frame or reuse pasta sauce jars to store rice, lentils, or beans. And the final R stands for recycle. What really needs to be thrown away, put it in the appropriate recycling container. Unfortunately, in many countries, most of the so called recycled trash does not actually get recycled. That would be a topic for another episode. Another interesting way to recycle would be to use home composting to reduce waste. And now we have arrived to the last unsustainable mindset for today, which is number 6. This one I call the blind spot mindset, or also known as the ostrich mindset. And this one is about not knowing what end to end systems our money is supporting. Do you truly understand the systems you are supporting every time you spend money? Take a closer look at the end to end chain and develop the habit of asking why, like a little child. You know how children always ask why, and therefore we need to do the same. In Japan, there is a method called the 5 whys, and that helps to identify the root causes of problems. For instance, when we observe issues like deforestation, wildlife destruction, and tree cutting, there are several underlying causes we can uncover by asking ourselves why repeatedly until we get to the root cause. One of these root causes is the fact that a large portion of the world's population eats a lot of meat on a daily basis. To continue this habit, we require extensive animal agriculture, which accounts for approximately 85% of the global deforestation. In fact, the Amazon forest destruction is primarily due to 91% of animal agriculture. The other reasons are timber lodging, mining, and expanding infrastructures. Think about those numbers. Having meat on your plate every day is no longer sustainable. Additionally, the World Health Organization has declared processed meat to be carcinogenic, just like cigarettes. It is predicted that in 10 to 15 years, processed meat will be seen as the new cigarette. If we look back a few years, cigarettes were very common, and there was a high chance that your doctor also smoked while advising his patients on how to maintain a healthy lifestyle. The same is happening today with processed meat. Recent estimates suggest that approximately 34,000 cancer deaths per year worldwide are directly linked to meat consumption. Therefore, by limiting your meat consumption, we are not only helping the planet, but we are also helping our health. Throughout my life, I have struggled with high cholesterol levels, usually over 370, and only medication could keep it in a safe level. My doctor warned me that I had a high risk of a heart attack in the long run due to the clogged arteries caused by the high cholesterol levels that I had for so many years. Despite trying various diets, my cholesterol remained a major problem. Then, in year 2014, I saw a presentation by Dr. Michael Greger, an American physician. After seeing the data he presented, I decided to try another experiment and eliminate meat and dairy from my diet. Some may call it a plant-based diet, others might call it a vegan diet. I don't know, I just going to do that experiment, eliminate meat and dairy, no matter what they call it. After 3 months, my cholesterol dropped to normal levels and I no longer needed medication. It was a success for my health and I never looked back. That was when I realized the connection between our personal choices and the planet's health. Think about it. Maybe, just maybe, what is good for us is also good for the planet and vice versa. The point is, every time I pull out my wallet to pay for something, I have to ask myself, what am I supporting with my money? If I buy meat, I'm contributing to the opposite of sustainability. I'm supporting deforestation, species extinction due to rainforest destruction, high water consumption, and I'm also supporting the meat and dairy industry, which uses up 1/3 of our limited freshwater resources. Just to serve one person one hamburger, we need about 3,000 liters of water. Farm animals produce a large amount of waste. It is estimated that every minute in the US alone, we have 3.2 million kilograms of excrement produced by animals for food. This has a serious impact on the health of our soil, which then affects the rest of our food chain. So, here again, that's the ripple effect. Livestock farming covers 45% of the Earth's total land area. By eating meat every day, the demand for livestock land space increases 18 times, leading to even more deforestation. Looking at all the available data, I could go on for a long time listing more and more negative effects every time I invest my money in meat. Believe it or not, there is another aspect a few people are aware of. When an animal is killed, it has a lot of fear and adrenaline in their body. This negative energy, full of fear, is stored in their body, and then we also consume this negative energy. Not to mention all the antibiotics we consume with it, making us more antibiotic resistant and more filled with chemicals in our system. Over 66% of all the antibiotics sold in the world go to livestock each year. Then guess who eats the livestock containing all of these antibiotics? Overall, it has been statistically confirmed that animal agriculture is a leading cause of species extinction, water pollution, habitat destruction, and ocean dead zones. No matter how I looked at it, every time I pulled out my wallet to buy meat, I sponsored and promoted all of the above vicious cycles. Then I simply ask myself the next logical question. Do I want to be part of this system? Do I want to further promote it? And of course, the answer is no. By saying no to promoting deforestation, I obtain a direct side effect of not eating meat and dairy, which was I became much healthier again. My brain fog disappeared. My ideal weight came back and stayed. I had sharper thinking. My allergies disappeared. I had more energy and happiness than ever. And to top it all off, plant based foods tasted for me even better than the foods I ate before making the change. But be aware that not every vegan diet is a healthy one, and it's important to make a good transition and not fall into eating vegan junk food and stay sick. For example, if you eat a bag of chips and sip on a soft drink, that's vegan, but not necessarily healthy or well balanced food. To give you another example of what you may be promoting with your hard earned money is, do you know how many products you use that contain palm oil? It is also a major driver of deforestation in one of the most biodiverse forests in the world. When we all have this awareness, then we can make conscious decisions about whether or not we want to contribute to promote this destructive system. Another example is knowing where we get our products and what the end to end chain is. If we know that a particular clothing item is produced in low wage countries where people have unsafe working conditions or even are forced to work, perhaps even using child labor, we can ask ourselves again the question, do I want to support such a system just to buy a product that is slightly more economical? We need to remove the veil and see what lies beneath the production of each of those products and services. You can even go a level further and ask 3 additional questions every time you purchase something. Question number 1, what is the environmental impact of this product before it is even sold? That means to create that product. What is the impact? Then question number 2, what is the impact of that item when it is in use? And finally, question number 3, what is the environmental impact of that item once we are done using it and when it has been disposed? We should always ask ourselves these 3 basic questions every time we buy a product. Let us take electric cars as an example. What is the environmental impact of making the batteries for these vehicles before they're sold? What are the resources needed to create those batteries? What kind of electricity was used during the creation of those vehicles? Then later, once we purchase the vehicle, then we can see what is the impact that it has during the lifespan when it's in our hands. And we should also think, where does the electricity come from the moment that we are using this item? Is it from solar energy, from coal, wind energy? Because not all electricity is clean energy. And lastly, what happens to your car once it reaches the end of its lifetime? What happens to the batteries? Where do they end up? How are they disposed of? Is there a process for disposing of these batteries, and what is the environmental impact of this part of the process? And now we should take these 3 stages, the before stage, the during stage, and the after stage, and compare it to the life cycle of a conventional combustion car. Well, I don't have the answer at the moment because I am still doing my research on this topic, but I'm very curious about the results and I will share them with you once I have them. Now, let's take a look at the summary of this final unsustainable mindset of this episode. It is crucial to have the mindset of questioning what you're promoting with your money. You're not just investing your money in a product or a service itself, but you are also investing in the entire process and systems of creating the product, the lifetime while you are using the product, and the afterlife of that product. This is the only way you can make informed choices and support the right systems that are not harmful to people, our animals, and the environment. So think about it. We are not just buying a product, we are buying everything that's around it. Most of the data provided here in this episode comes from a well-verified infographic that you can find at the link in the show notes. It is based on a documentary called Cowspiracy, and I recommend you to watch. Okay, everybody, we are now coming to the end of this episode, and I would like to make a quick summary of those 6 unsustainable mindsets. Number 1, one should recognize that everything is interconnected. By taking care of the planet, we are taking care of ourselves, our children, and future generations. Point number 2, just because we may not see the negative effects in our own community, it does not mean that action is not necessary. We are all in the same boat and we will be affected eventually. Then we have mindset number 3, change starts with us. Each person has the power to make a big difference, and if everyone in our community takes responsibility, we can collectively make a difference. Point number 4, we must adopt a continuous improvement mindset, not only in our individual roles, but also as protectors of this earth. Point number 5 is to adopt the 6R mindset, which stands for reduce, refuse, reuse, repair, repurpose, and recycle. In the freebie, I included a simple chart where you can evaluate the status quo in your household, and I also included a simple action plan template which you can use to enter the things you would like to do different in the next couple of weeks. And last but not least, mindset number 6 is ask the right questions and consider the systems our money supports, promoting those that are not harmful to people and the environment. In future podcast episodes, I will regularly highlight a product that does not support our health or the environment, or both, and I will give you alternative solutions. Do not worry if you did not take notes or if you are not 100% sure what are the actionable steps to take. In the show notes, you will find a link to a downloadable cheat sheet with simple action plan. You can choose the action points that best fit your current situation and assess if it made any impact. Please feel free to let me know how it went. Your feedback is important for my team and me so that we can continuously improve the value we provide you, as we want to give you the most out of each episode. Please rate, subscribe, send your comments, and share with those family and friends who you think would enjoy this episode. Your support is greatly appreciated, and I'm grateful to hear from you. I am also a work in progress, and I strive to do things better every day. Thank you, take care, and I'll see you soon in the next episode. Big hugs, everyone.